Hi, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you joined me today. We are working with the Stampin' Up! Peaceful Garden Suite, and it's a beautiful collection of cards, if I do say so myself. We've been playing with these. We did this for a Christmas card class in July, and I'm just now doing the videos, so I apologize if some of y'all have waited a while for this, but we've had lots of other suites in between. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm really glad you're here watching, whether you're watching live on Facebook or live on YouTube, or if you're watching the replay. I'd love to have you say your comment and who you are and where you're from and all that, kind of how you got connected. Hopefully you're a part of our Create with Kelley crew. I'm so excited today. I have Eileen Cowart here helping me with this video. It really helps to have somebody behind the scenes helping me with here's the next stamp and here's the next this, and giving little tips along the way. So if y'all hear somebody in the background, she's over there helping away. All right, are y'all ready to get started? I hope so. We're going to do a card with the piece on the front. I'm going to show you how I did a little bit of stamp surgery on here, and that starts with our Peace on Earth stamp that is from the Peace on Earth bundle. It's right on top, Eileen, right? Yeah, in the middle. Let me show you that. Here's the stamp set, and you can tell the Peace on Earth is large, but I had several cards that I wanted to use the piece on separately, so I just cut it. I just carefully went in between the piece and the on Earth, and nobody knows, nobody cares. It's your stamp set. You can do what you want with it. And it's easy to just fit it right back into place if you want to stamp the whole thing together. But right now, for this particular card, I'm just going to remount the piece word on a smaller block. And that's awesome about photopolymer stamps, is you can do that. Okay. Now, this part is a little tricky, the initial part with the arch. So I'm going to start with something easy, like stamping the piece. We'll go ahead and get that stamped. I don't think I stamped anything on the inside. We can decide if we want to do that or not. But we're going to do the Night of Navy ink on this one, because I have a white card base that's the thick white, the thick basic white. And as you can see, I've used the blending brush on it like I did on card number 1 to kind of make a sky and have room for both of the little doves. And then this background is Night of Navy. Some of the designer series paper looks better coordinated with Secret Sea, and some of it looks better with Night of Navy, I thought. And some of it looks great with cloud cover. Each piece coordinates with one of the main colors in the suite. But this one I thought looked better with Night of Navy. So that's what we'll be using on our little greeting here. And I actually have 2 of those. How handy is that? Just in case I mess up, I'll have a backup. All right, I'm going to practice on this little scrap piece right here. Yep, that works. And whoops, I almost did it backwards. I did it with the arch going toward the left and the straight edge on the right. But it really depends on your piece of paper. You could do it this way. You could do it from this side. I think either way works. I just kind of like it here. So on my card, I'm doing it that way, but you can do your card any way you want. And we're just doing piece kind of right in the middle of that. Straight down. Give it a second. Straight up. Yay. Success. Okay, so that's the Night of Navy. And we started off with a piece of 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 here. And then what we did was took the arch die. Let's see how show you a little trick here. I don't have another piece of paper. We'll just pretend this is, do we have another piece of white in there folded? No. Okay, we're going to pretend this is the white piece of paper. And what we did was took the, I think this is the largest arch. Yes. And I'm even going to show you on our little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You'll take the arch, and on this bottom plate, which this is well loved, you will put the arch with the paper folded like this. We're just pretending this is white, okay? So you're going to hang this off of that edge, and I mean barely, barely, barely. Did I say barely? I mean barely off the edge like that. So you actually want that stitching to be covered up. You want this, the little dotted part, this part right here, you want that on the paper, but you don't want the cutting edge right there on the outside. You want that off of the fold so that it doesn't cut your paper. That's how you get that look. Can you tell that at all? Can't really get it in the light. There you go. So those dotted areas are included in the folded part, if that makes sense. And then the cutting edge is on the outside, so it's not going to get cut. So that's how this works right here. So your paper would be folded, and then this would be hanging off like that to cut it. Okay? And that's all there is to that. And that makes your card base like that. Then we're going to, and the small arch that I used was this smallest one. That was the largest. Then I believe the second largest is the Night of Navy. Yep. And then the third largest is the Designer Series paper. So starting from the outside, from the largest, you use the three largest. First, second, and third largest. And then you use the smallest for the detail die. And then I also cut out, just to save paper and save bulk on the card, I cut the middle out of the Night of Navy, just so it's not adding so many layers. It's not quite as thick to do. So we could go ahead and do the front. No, let's not. Sorry, changed my mind. We're going to go ahead and do the blending on the inside first, because I think that'll be easier. It would make it bumpy if you did the inside blending on top of the layered front. So we're going to take the inside, and I'll show you what I did again. Let me see if I can get both in camera here. And we're just going to use the cloud cover once again with the blending brush. And we could do a little bit of the blue and not just the cloud cover on this one. I think that's what I did. I added a little blue in there too. So the cloud cover kind of has a little tinge of blue and a little bit of gray and even a little bit of green. Don't you think, Eileen? It's hard to call it a blue or a gray or what it is, because it's really just kind of a mix of the two or three. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of that because it's coming out more green than the front. That sky on the front's pretty blue. So we're gonna take, let's see, I guess I'm gonna try the Misty Moonlight that's a little bit lighter. We'll see how we like that. I think the other is gonna be a little too dark. And we've got our light brush, and Stampin' Up! Has awesome blending brushes, and I have just labeled mine. I didn't get one for every color. I didn't think that was necessarily necessary, but I do have a light blue and a dark blue and a light red and a dark red, and like that kind of color families. And we're just always tapping off of the color onto our scratch pad, and then going onto the paper in a circular motion. And that gives us the sky and the clouds that we wanted. Isn't that pretty? How easy is that? It looks like designer series paper on its own, and all you've done is just do a little blending. Isn't that awesome? I love it. All right. Let's see what's next. Okay. Now that we've got the inside basically done, we'll come back and do the doves. We're going to go ahead and layer the Night of Navy on, and we've taken the next smallest arch and cut it out, like I said, just for bulk and for paper savings. I probably will use that inside arch for something else, for another card. There's no reason to waste that. Nobody can see it. So we're just going to keep that an even border all the way around. It's not going to be exact. This side is going to be a little bit closer because you cut that off a little bit. So that is all right. Get it close. Nobody knows. All right. Then we're going to pop this up. With Stampin' Dimensionals. And I want to put one up here. I'm not going to put one right there where the piece is going to go, so we're not double stacking. But I think that ought to do me everywhere else. I might put one, go ahead and put one more down here. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, or if you have this suite. Would love to know if you've used it, if you've made any of these cards with it. I really think it's pretty, not only for holidays, but to use for sympathy cards, for wedding, could be birthday, could be just winter. There's a lot of things you could use this stamp set, die set, and designer series paper for. Certainly not just holiday. All right, we're going to get our little piece arch. And I really didn't think this particular card needed any other embellishment besides a little wink of Stella. And you could line this up if you want. We'll get this yucky paper out of the way for you. You could line it up with the first edge. You could go all the way to the Night of Navy. You could go all the way to the white. I kind of liked it right here. And I'm going to line it up where I just cut a little of this bird's wings off and a little bit of that bottom off. And otherwise, I'm pretty straight. Now we're going to jazz it up just a little bit with the wink of Stella. I love on these arches how you can go around and it almost looks like you have a sparkly layer behind this little arch when you go and just use your wink of Stella between the dots and the edge. Isn't that pretty? Can y'all see that sparkle? Pretty. Then we want to add a little bit of excitement and glitz to our pretty doves. Just kind of accent a few areas. Woo, my wink of Stella is just going crazy here. Woo. And I'm not even squeezing it. I just squeezed it too hard a while ago, I guess. We're going to have to move that piece up, I believe, and cover up this little bird's head's going to have to get covered. That's a little bit much. So we're going to see if we can peel that up. Sometimes if you're trying to peel up a Stampin' Dimensional, instead of pulling it straight up, you can kind of twist it and have it come off and it won't leave the residue. So that's what we're doing. We're going to cover up that little goof. And no one will ever know, except for the people watching this video. So hopefully y'all won't get this card in the mail and peek underneath and see if this indeed is the one that I made a mistake on. You can't tell. All right, there's that. Now we're going to add a little wink to our, do we add doves on the inside? Yes, we do. Okay, we're going to add a little wink of Stella to both of those. And I am not squeezing. I am not squeezing. I am not squeezing my wink of Stella. Okay, and then we're going to need our little marker back to make his little eye. And after that, we'll be almost done with this card already. Any questions out there? I don't see any. Thank you, ma'am. Eileen is anticipating what I need here. It's awesome. She's been a wonderful helper. Just a little smoky slate eyeball works great. And then we're going to attach these flat. And I think you could go ahead and put something inside if you wanted to stamp a greeting. But to me, you can just make your handwritten message say whatever you want it to say without having to stamp something inside. And that leaves a lot more flexibility for the card. Unless you know you're sending it for Christmas or something in particular, I would just leave it blank. But that's just me. And I'm just gluing this part flat just to hold it, because you really don't want dimensionals most of the time on the inside of your card. And this, a lot of this would get squished down in mailing anyway, but you can at least start it this way with a little depth. And I'm just kind of going on the bird body and just that part of the wing. The rest of it is just going to hang out. All right. So that's that. Two doves. Isn't that pretty? So you could do May the Spirit of the Season, whatever that verse is from Jolly Holly. You could put something else on the Peace on Earth. If it were a sympathy card, you could even leave the peace here and put with sympathy or thinking of you. Because goodness knows, someone who's lost a loved one needs some peace, right? Okay. Well, if nobody's asking any questions, I guess we will switch this back over again, if it'll let us, so I can say bye. Let's see if I can get both of these up here. Yay. Thanks again for tuning in. If you have any questions or need help with any of the products that we use today on these cards, please let me know. I'm happy to help you. And let's see, I'll leave it up real quick while I say goodbye. Fun times ahead. Keep tuning in. We're going to do another one in just a few. Bye-bye.